Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 11520 Southwest 98th Avenue here in Tigard, located at the back of the house, adjacent to the sliding glass door. We've got a 4-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's currently running. We are going to zero the foot counter out here at the base of the cleanout, and off we go. And this looks like a wraparound sewer, which is an extra long line. We're going to keep things zipping along till we get out to the main. We will come back in slower. All right, transitioning here over to concrete pipe. That joint there's a little wonky. We're going to take a second look at that on the way out. That does look like it dropped. We'll get a better view here when the line drains. Not something that's affecting functionality as it sits right now, but we're going to see if that joint looks exposed to the ground or not. And then right here, this would appear to be the main lateral connection. So we're going to locate here really quick just to see where the line goes. My assumption is that we're either hitting a right or left side fence line and or heading towards the rear fence line. The one thing to check out for is looking for easement documents to ensure that there is some kind of easement in place for this line to go through the property. Make sure you don't have something like that. Every now and then I find a line that doesn't have an easement in place or something of that nature, or you've got a party line that looks somewhat like a main lateral, so it's worth checking out. Alrighty, located the camera head successfully. So the line crosses the left side fence line. As you face this house from Southwest 98th, line shoots out the back, hangs a left-hand turn just after shooting out underneath the concrete patio back here, and runs essentially dead straight right to the fence line. Where we're sitting at right now is probably about 5 feet or so over the fence line. So what I noticed here is this joint, and it is in the neighbor's driveway area. That joint there has settled, and I think most of what you're looking at there for the most part is a concrete lip. I'm not seeing a lot of strong evidence that's open to the ground there. But the one thing I am seeing just up in front of us is that pipe joint. You can see there's a dark moisture ring going all the way around that joint there. What that is a sign that the that joint is compromised. That doesn't mean it's just gaping wide open, obviously, but the grout's wearing out. And potentially some kind of rubber fern coat seal. Usually it's grout, but as those wear out over time, they allow moisture to seep in, which can create for hydro erosion. It's possible that may be why this joint's dropped here. It may have to do with when the line was updated. It's kind of hard to say. You know, you've still got a reasonable size opening. My concern there is over time that's likely to progress and get worse. That joint can hydro erode the soil out from underneath the line, cause progressive settling, and eventually you can end up with this joint closing off. So that is something there I am going to recommend a repair on. It's still conveying sewage through it reasonably well, but the line needs to also be a watertight sewer pipe. So I'm going to try and go locate this. In fact, what I'm going to do here, just for any repair guys, just to make it simple, because it's in a neighbor's driveway, that paint marking is going to last for 2 seconds. Alright, so I pulled back just a little bit to right to the fence line. There's vehicles parking over this spot, so I can't put paint down, and they won't last anyway in that muddy driveway. Right here at the fence line, I'm getting about 7 feet deep, and as you can see, the line does not all of a sudden grade off hard. It's going to be basically the exact same depth, maybe 3 inches or so deeper by the time you hit that main connection. So what I'm going to recommend here, because that joint is settling and you've got an obvious moisture ring there, from here at about 49, now my foot counter's being weird. That's approximately about a 3-foot section. So from about 51 feet to about 54 feet, I would recommend a spot repair to fix that. That's one of those deals. I've done almost 25,000 sewer scopes in my career. When you get that scenario like that, where the joints start to expose the ground. It doesn't all of a sudden happen immediately, but it's a progressive, slow but sure thing. And what you can end up happening here, you can see how much that joint is dropped at the top of the pipe. Eventually that piece of pipe can come all the way down and close off the opening right at the transition joint there. And you've got one really nasty problem at that point. So 7 feet deep, you'll see a white arrow just on the other side of the fence. That is sitting probably about 3 feet or so shy of the transition joint. And you can see the manhole out in the road that lines up with that it looks like a main running down that property, the property line there. That manhole is essentially directly in line with the main lateral. I would still verify with the city that's what you've got there, but anytime you can follow that out to a manhole in the street, that is usually a very good sign. And right here, it looks like you pick up a Y-in. That may be, is there laundry or something back in here?
There is, yeah.
Okay. So what that probably is there is the laundry machine tie-in, possibly storm system, but that makes sense given where the laundry machines are. It's easier just to run that line to the exterior rather than route it through under the house. So all the ABS pipe here is looking good, drains very nicely. We're now going backwards toward the home here. A little bit of standing water. That's only about a 1/16 quarter inch of water there. And then right here we start going up the vent stack and or the base of the toilet. And nope, that's the vent. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Right now my camera is looking up through the roof vent at the sky. So that's the end of the line there going backwards into the house. And the standing water there is way too minor to need repairs. It's maybe a 1/16 of an inch. There's a little bit of grease in the flow line that's probably damming up that thing partially. So after any repairs are done, I highly recommend a rescope to check the work. It's very important to do that, especially with a line that deep. Whoever's doing it needs to make sure that line's getting bedded very well in gravel. But before you even go to that point, I would check with the city to find out if that last few feet of the concrete pipe there is city responsibility. Sometimes there is a reason why the update stopped where it did. It's entirely possible the city out here may take responsibility for the stub coming off the main. So before you start fixing things, I would check into that. But either way, post-repair, you want to look at this thing when the trench is closed, after there's 7 feet of earth on top of it, to ensure that no further settling has occurred. From a flow standpoint right now, line is flowing nicely to the main lateral, but from a structural longevity standpoint, that end section there is concerning, and it's also exposed the ground. Those joints like that can theoretically over time lead to sinkholes as well. So that's the other concern there. It's not just sewer related. It can cause erosion to the ground above the pipe.